A boy and his mother lived in a quiet, remote place, nestled between mountains and rivers. Their life was simple and full of hardships, but love and resilience bound them together. The boy was young, yet incredibly talented. Despite not having fancy art supplies, his creativity had no limits. He could pour his heart into every piece of paper, bringing to life stories of people he had never met before yearned to know. His father had died when he was just a baby. His mother, though devastated by the loss, often sat with him, sharing stories about the man she loved, a man whose absence left their home echoing with both silence and longing. She painted him as a strong, kind and brave man whose love could fill a room and whose heart seemed limitless. Though the boy had no memories of his father, he cherished these stories like treasures. Every year on the eve of his father's birthday, the boy would create something special. A birthday card, simple yet profound. To him, it was more than just a card. It was a way to reach across time between life and death, between love and loss. His art was his connection to a man forever beyond his grasp. One evening, the boy sat at their small kitchen table as the sun disappeared behind the hills. The dim glow of a candle illuminated his face as he carefully sketched a figure, a man holding a boy's hand, just as his mother had always described. Each line was deliberate, each detail meaningful. His heart weighed heavy with both sadness and hope. His mother stood in the doorway, watching silently, her heart full of love but also guilt. She had carried the burden of her husband's death for years without saying a word. How could she explain that her husband had sacrificed everything for her? How could she share the sorrow that weighed her down daily? Though the boy didn't know, she had always sensed her sadness. Unable to stay silent, she finally stepped into the room. She gently placed a hand on his shoulder and whispered, "Tell him everything. Write to him now that I love him and miss him every day." The boy looked at his mother. He sensed the weight in her words and nodded solemnly. "I will, Mom. I know he loves you too." His simple reply carried a truth that deeply touched his mother. Later that night, the boy lay in bed, feeling a calm but couldn't quite explain. As he drifted into sleep, he slipped into a vivid dream. It felt so real. In the dream, the boy was walking on clouds, soft and endless beneath his feet. The sky was golden and vast, stretching into eternity. Everything was quiet and peaceful. Then in the distance, he saw a figure. The man stood tall against the glowing sky. Though the boy had never seen him, something inside him knew this man was important. This was someone he had been waiting for his life. With his heart pounding, the boy walked toward the man. As he got closer, the man's face came into view, matching the stories his mother had told him for so long. It was him, his father. The boy hesitated but gathered the courage to ask, "Do you want to play with me?" The man's face softened into a smile. Kneeling down, he gently said, "Of course I do," and pulled the boy into a warm embrace. The boy felt an overwhelming warmth fill him. It was as if every question had never was answered in that one hug. They spent what felt like hours running and laughing on the clouds. The boy felt free. Each moment made him feel more connected to his man, who was both a stranger and his father. "I like spending time with you," the boy finally said, gazing up at the man. The man smiled down at him. "I like spending time with you too. You are amazing." As they continued to play, the boy felt something strange in his chest. It wasn't painful but deep and unusual. He placed a hand over his heart, feeling its steady beat. "What's wrong?" his father asked softly. "I don't know," the boy said, confused. "My heart feels full." His father placed a hand over the boy's. "That's because you're full of love," he said with a smile, "and love will always keep us connected." The boy woke up the next morning, his heart still full, his smile wide. He ran to his mother in the kitchen. "Mom, I dreamed about him again," he shouted excitedly. "We played and it was amazing." His mother turned to him, her face softened with the knowing smile. "What did he look like?" she asked, already guessing the answer. The boy paused, thinking about the dream. "He is strong and he has a beautiful heart," the boy said earnestly. "He told me you shouldn't feel guilty about his death." His mother froze. Her hand shook slightly as tears welled up in her eyes. How could her son's dream touch the deepest wound in her heart? "Did he tell you anything else?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. The boy nodded. "He told me that he loves me and he misses you. He said he wants to hug you and take away your sadness." His mother couldn't hold back anymore. She sat down and sobbed quietly. The boy, unsure what to do, placed his small hand on her arm and sat next to her. His quiet presence was enough. That evening, the mother decided to take her son to visit his father's grave. They had not been there in years, and her grief had kept them away. The boy held tightly to the birthday cards he had made, ready to share it with his father. At the graveyard, the wind gently moved the trees, and the air was quiet. The boy knelt before the gravestone and laid the card down. "Happy birthday, father," he whispered. "I made you another card. I hope you like it." The mother stood back, tears streaming as she watched her son. He connected with a man he had never truly known, yet their bond was unmistakable. Once the boy finished speaking, his mother knelt beside him and gently held his hand. Without looking at him, she whispered, "That man in your dreams, he is your father." The boy's eyes widened. "Really?" he asked in disbelief. The boy's eyes widened. "Really?" he asked in disbelief. "Yes," he said, her voice trembling. "He has been watching you over all this time. He has been watching over you all this time." The boy was quiet, observing the weight of her words. After a long moment, he asked, "But why did he say you shouldn't feel guilty?" Her breath caught. She had never told him the truth before, but now it was time. "When you were a baby, I got sick," she said, her voice breaking. "I was going to die, but your father gave me his heart so I could live." Tears filled the boy's eyes as he realized what she meant. "That's why you dream about him. His heart is here, inside me, keeping me alive," she said softly. The boy hugged his mother tightly, listening to the steady beat of her father's death. The boy hugged his mother tightly, listening to the steady beat of his father's heart. "Thank you, father," he whispered, "for saving Mom. You are always with us."